being a man in this 21st century, it's looking at it as a progressive one that is not monolithic, right? One that is not confining you to a space because what you were taught, you grew up with, is no longer functioning. There is a certain level of fulfillment you get when you meet a need, whether it's your immediate family, whether it's from extended family. It comes with some level of satisfaction when somebody reached out to you and you're able to meet them at their point of need. You're not providing. There is a part of it that there's a vacuum in you that you're not fulfilling. That provision comes with responsibility, being accountable. People are not being judged. People are not being looked up to. People are not being downgraded. People are not being sized. In fact, you meet somebody and shake your hands, you ask you, what do you do for a living? Literally. It is not for them to know you, but for them to literally grade you. So, okay, I'm a cameraman. You just calm down. So, okay, I'm a content creator. I work in ExxonMobil.
Don't the other gender go through the same stress?
Not as compared. The responsibility is not as compared to
how is
the guy. For example, if you leave your house today, that's you and your sibling, your younger sister, both of you, or your twin sister, leave the same family to say you're going to the city to go and work. Who will the parents expect stuff from? Your sister or you? In fact, they will expect you. They will expect you to not just take care of yourself. They will expect you to take care of your sister, take care of them.
And why is it that the same pressure is not equally mounted on the opposite sex?
Why you not get breast?
Welcome to Beyond the Boardroom, the podcast where we explore the depths of personal growth. I'm your host, Alexis Beckers, and each week I bring you inspiring conversation with expert guests who share their insights on mindset, self-development, and living your best life. Whether you are looking to elevate your career, boost your charisma in leadership, or find your purpose, you are in the right place. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you hit that subscription button, like, share, and don't miss out on every amazing episode. And with that said, let's dive in and go beyond the boardroom together. Now, my question is, Tega, what is your message?
Okay, that's a bit deep. Very deep. What's my message? My message is quite simple. Is to live God's expression through me on earth. I just believe that the best way for living that expression, it is to go back to your fundamental, which is understanding that there is a higher purpose. You are just a puzzle amongst the whole. You're just a fix among the whole puzzle. So when you realize that you have somebody who directly orchestrated your movement by ordinance, you will realize that, of course, you are not just waking up every morning and trying to achieve the things that are before you. There are things that are set before you, after you, to complete that whole puzzle. So it's to live God's expression on earth through me. That's my message.
Okay. So when you wake up, what drives you?
Yes. So two things drives me. One, who I left sleeping and who I want to become awake.
Okay.
Okay, let me reverse it. There are times I go to bed and I ask myself, why should I wake up tomorrow? It's a deep question. If there are no expression, if there are no enough inspiration tied to that reason why I should wake up excited, then I think there is a problem. So I always live the night ensuring that I have prospect for tomorrow. I found out that there are people who die at the age of 25, but they are not yet buried until they're 75. There are people who just live, who are existing without just living, who are just existing, who wake up in the morning, do the regular, without realizing that there is a force that orchestrates your movement. And that force sometimes, most certainly, is pushing you It's pushing you to the direction to what the purpose you're supposed to be living for. But because sometimes we are diluted, we are not sensitive to our fundamentals. All right? We take certain decisions with ambiguity, without clarity, where you know by choice, by decision, this is where you should be, but because of the level of cloudiness around us, we start making certain decisions away from our direction. That's the reason why, the Bible says, goodness and mercies shall follow you, not is in front of you. Right? So if this is in place, you realize that you're waking up every morning, not living a life that is in front of you, or not wanting the life in front of you, but ensuring that there is something that is projecting you to live the life that you're expected to live. So just like Jonah, who knew very well his mission, what he's called to do, but somewhere in his mind he's saying, can I tweak this? Can I go this way? And one thing, I was talking to my friend that I told him, I said, one thing God has done for humans is to ensure that he's available at every decision we make. So where you are telling yourself, I want to go eastward, I want to go northward, God is not saying that. One of the things God has given to man is the willpower to decide, and God is not influencing it. And that's why I said, God is helpless to an ignorant man. All right, so he has given you all the best tools, necessary things in place for you to make the decision. However decision you will make, you will find him in those places.
Okay. The reason why I ask this question, or why I start with this question, is because most people don't know why they get up in bed.
That's true.
And this you see in today's society, especially men. Some men are ignorant of their purpose, and some may die not even discovering it.
A lot.
Now, and this is what we're going to be talking about, what it actually takes to be a man in today's society. What make a man, outside the fact that you're called to provide, you're called to lead, or basically the most popular one is just provider.
Okay.
Is there more to that?
Yeah, for me, when we talk about what it means to be a man, all right, I'll look at it from two perspectives. Is it man as a being and also man as a gender? Right. So man as a being, of course, you know that life, we have life per identity. We have the pre-birth stage, we have the birth, and we have the post-womb and eternity.
Okay, let's look at it as man as gender.
Gender, yes. So as man as gender, beyond masculinity, you're asking yourself, the reason to which life expectancy has started reducing. Today, if somebody who lived 80 years, 90 years, it's been celebrated.
Yeah.
But there were times where we go to our villages, then you see burial poster 110, 130.
What do you think is the reason for that? I've always thought about that.
Yeah, it's as we are advancing with the level of technology awareness, growth, I don't want to call it mutate. The more we gravitate towards easy life, the more we gravitate towards enhancing the exploiting life. Yes, let me use that word. The more we gravitate towards exploiting life, the more we dilute our system. And the more we dilute our system, the more we lose our fundamentals. And nobody's talking about that. All right? So that way, we need to start looking at it as man being a gender, as a progressive movement. All right? I cannot define a man as of 21st century to the man in our father's, great-grandfather's generation. All right? So in our father's generation, being a man, it is the authoritarian kind of perception, masculinity, the ability to sit on a throne and everybody sits under you, the ability to point in a direction and everybody say yes, now follow. right? But we are moving into a generation where okay, you go tile apart, enter kitchen, right? You carry broom sweep, right? And though we are having a mix of a blend between understanding that things has progressed into understanding the traditions that comes with being a man. You cannot, there is a reason why God created you with this physique. There is a reason. You cannot say because you're coming this way, the responsibility that comes with these muscles must be aggravated to the other gender. There is a reason. There is a reason why you have to have this shape of head, these shoulders, these fins, and all of that. So there is a reason for it. You cannot put less a vehicle that is built to carry a load of a certain capacity, right? Is not functioning to its maximum, right? If it carries less load, but doesn't take away the fact that it has the capacity to carry that, right? So being a man in this 21st century, it's looking at it as a progressive one that is not monolithic, right? One that is not confining you to a space because what you were taught, you grew up with, is no longer functioning.
How do you mean? How do you mean? Now, why I'm asking this question is, last month, I was having a conversation with my mentor, and he called me into his office and he said, we're actually discussing a lot of things. And in between that discussion, he said, Alexis, have you ever noticed that 30 years ago, 40, 50, that men tend to die from 120, 100. On the contrary, women tend to even die first before the man. Because maybe after they pass away, then the man is still there and he even goes on to marry a second wife. Up to that range, around 100 to 120 and so on and so forth. But bringing back to this our time, like you said, even when you get to 50, 70, that is why when you see someone celebrating 50, he goes all hard.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He shut down.
Yes.
What happened? Is the same man that we have then, both biologically, is not the same man that we have right now. What is the twist?
The twist is in the life we're living. If you wake our great grandparents into what the life we're living today, some of them will call it black magic. What we are doing right now is it wasn't possible some years ago. In fact, just try and process it. As of today, there is a technology that allows you to perceive the aroma of a meal somebody is eating on the other side of the country. Like if you wear this technology right now, if somebody is peeling orange in UK, you could perceive it. Scientists are exploiting research around storing data in human DNA. So it gets to a level in the future, which is happening now, that your great-grandchildren will be able to imagine you in their head and take a decision as though you are the one existing in that state. They will be able to feel who you look like, the kind of life you live. So with that level of progress that is being achieved, the fundamentals is being diluted. Let me give you a reason why.
Yeah.
All right. So we are talking about life expectancy that is reducing because of lifestyle.
And to add to it, when we're having discussion, back then it was the women die first before the men. But now it's not just only there's a short circuit in terms of age gap, but there's a switch.
Yeah.
Now it seems the man dies first before the woman. So technology wise or anything, why that switch?
Beyond just technology, where I was actually going, I was referring to advancement in the exploitation of human nature as a being. If you look at the rate at which we are exploiting these days, we're exploiting a lot of things. Exploiting a lot of things, from our fantasies to our growth to our level of exposure. For example, have you heard of galactic billionaires?
No. What's that?
That's people who are considered exceptional whose wealth can no longer be contained to the universe. They are now exploiting the galaxy.
Elon Musk is one of them.
Good. Now imagine where you are with what you're doing right now. Imagine your level of success and imagine there is something existing there. The probability of Elon Musk becoming Elon Musk in the future is very slim. It's very slim. Now, if you boil it down to what led to all of this exploitation, it is the crave. Today, we grew up where dad is a provider. Mommy basically gets to put things in order, like a form of administration. But the society has put pressure on both genders. And despite the society exerting the same pressure on both genders, the male figure is still seen as one who should carry double of the responsibility.
And why is that?
It's because it is by nature that is confirmed on the gender. You, as an individual, by default, you are excited to provide. There is a certain level of fulfillment you get when you meet a need. Whether it's your immediate family, whether it's from extended family, it comes with some level of satisfaction. When somebody reached out to you and you're able to meet them at their point of need. Now let's go down. Society now comes in to say beyond just meeting needs, you need to have sufficient enough to not just provide for your immediate, but to live and show off that you have it. And guess what happened?
What's that?
People are now being judged. People are now being looked up to. People are now being downgraded. People are now being sized. In fact, you meet somebody and you shake your hands, you ask you, what do you do for a living? Literally. It is not for them to know you, but for them to literally grade you. So, okay, I'm a cameraman. You just calm down. So, okay, I'm a content creator. I work in ExxonMobil. You see that? So, you as an individual who is probably by the side listening to that conversation, you're asking yourself, oh, this is what I should do. There was a time where everybody wanted to become data analyst.
Yeah.
Everybody was, if you get data, he said, people who studied art and culture jumped into people everybody wanted to become data analyst. There was a time it was medicine. Everybody, in fact, if you're not studying anything else, but if you look at this trend, the more we dive into it, the less the male figure is being shone out. The more the male figure is being shone out. And this shunning out, it comes with a lot of pressure. And this pressure sometimes is beyond finance. It comes with your mental health. It comes with your emotional stress. It comes with your biological stress. Let me give you an idea. Today, a lot of people in the past, it used to be an aspiration to work in the city, to live in the city. People in the village to say to themselves, there's a life in the city I want to experience.
Yeah.
They bid their loved one goodbye. I'm going to the city. It's an aspiration for a lot of people. But they get to the city these days, they go back to the village to stay just to work in the city. Isn't it stupidity for you to move forward and backward at the same time and expect to make progress?
Why is that, sir?
Now, you moved from the village because there's a life in the city. Getting to the city, you cannot afford to stay in the city. So you have to go and live in the village just to work in the city. Are you making progress? The reason is because now, people now have a job in Wuse, for example.
Yeah.
But they live in where? Gogalada Phase 9. Because Gogalada Phase 9 is cheaper. But what they fail to realize is to quantify stress as a measure of result. If you subject your body to this number of stress, over a long period of time, you lose productivity. And for a man, all right, your testosterone production, all right, is being affected with a level of stress that you go through, because that same hormone is still responsible for producing stress-releasing hormones for yourself instead of producing what you need for your masculinity. So if you're subjecting yourself to this number of stress over a long period of time, away from your job, that you will no longer be productive, right? If you check, the only reason why you're living in that Gogalada Phase 9 is just to sleep. But you spend this amount of time on the road commuting back and front just because you have an expectation to meet in the city.
Don't the other gender go through the same stress?
Not as compared. The responsibility is not as compared to
How is
the
that?
guy. For example, if you leave a house today, that you and your sibling, your younger sister, both of you, or your twin sister, leave the same family to say you're going to the city to go and work, who will the parents expect stuff from? Your sister or you? In fact, they will expect you. They will expect you to not just take care of yourself. They will expect you to take care of you, take care of your sister, take care of them. If both of you have the same job with the same pay, who do you think will carry the responsibility? Your sister, not relationship.
Yeah.
It's you. If both of you live in the same house with the same salary, with the same job, coming from the same house, who do you think will carry the same responsibility?
Me.
You. Are you saying that? Yeah. Now let's put the you as a factor into it. There's something I did. There's a class I had one time. I called it the illusion we call ours. As a man, as a figure, there are certain things we see as pride that we are now growing with, but eventually we cannot hold those things. Like, for example, providing. It is nature confer on the species as a man to provide. So when you're not providing, there is a part of that, there's a vacuum in you that you're not fulfilling. That provision comes with responsibility, being accountable. Right? So the more the gender tries to use whatever thing they're using to mask it, the more that vacuum is left out. Now, for people who think they are smarter, who probably want to indulge in fraudulent act, if you see, check them. The so-called reason that guy burns data all through the night trying to scam somebody somewhere is trying to provide.
And why is it that the same pressure is not equally mounted on the opposite sex?
Why you not get breast?
Because I don't have.
Did we? Yeah, there was a video I watched that time.
You know, why I'm asking this question is, let me give you a honest scenario. You meet a lady now, and you are doing everything for her, funny enough. Especially maybe, for example, a lady that is not into you, and you're doing everything for her. You are providing, like the nature that is called for you. You are providing and everything, and maybe everything goes south. You hear something like, I didn't ask for that. Now, where does that come in?
It comes off bad. But imagine a guy telling a lady, after all I've done for you. Does it come out good?
No.
Does it come out bad?
Yeah.
Let me reverse it. You and this lady that you just said, the lady will tell you, after all I've done for you. All right? But you asking the lady, after all I've done for you, between the both of you, which of them sounds more worse? It's a lady. If a lady is telling you, after all I've done for you, and you're telling the lady, after all I've done for you, people will look at you like, guy, are you not supposed to? Do you get? But when you look at shared responsibility, it comes on a different level of provision. There's a level of support. When I mean support be like what the Bible call them helpers. There's a level of support system ladies provide, right? Which is not equated to financial responsibility. So the provision that God has put on the male figure, right, which includes finance, all right, it comes with a lot of other things. That's the reason why if a man gets heartbroken, it goes 10 times worse than a lady who gets heartbroken.
Why is that?
It is because that's fundamental duty that is called for is being tempered with. So the ability to get to that level again becomes difficult. That's the reason why if you go to the prison these days, there are more male figures who were caught stealing than who committed murder.
The pressure to provide.
Pressure to provide. How many females are caught stealing and they're in the prison?
Yeah.
Check the question.
Okay, Tega, let's talk about something. You mentioned the emotion in terms of heartbreak. That is where I want to drive at, and some other things. Now, how can men show emotion without people thinking that they are weak? For example, a guy that is going through a heartbreak, you know, as men, there's a kind of idea that the society has sold to us.
Don't talk.
That you don't talk. It's not like we don't want to talk. It's just like we hope we don't get judged because much is expected of it. Like you said, if I and my twin sister are doing the same job getting the same pay. Now they're expecting me to come back home and provide, whereas we are getting the same pay. So that society pressure that is unspoken has been mounted on men. So because of that, we go through a lot of pressure. How can they now show emotions without feeling weak? Sorry. And it's funny that you hear same ladies now saying that you have to speak your emotions. You have to, tell us how you feel. Have you not heard something like that?
A lot.
A lot. So tell me.
So when it comes to tell me how you feel, there's a way a guy expresses how he feels different from the way the lady expects him to say how he feels. Right? Then for a guy, speaking up is a different thing entirely. It is who you're speaking to that matters most. And why are you speaking up? The reason why I think society started saying you don't need to talk, man up, stuff like that. Don't cry, you'll be man now. The reason is because sometimes they said worse than anything is crying on the shoulder of a parrot. You're asking yourself, this conversation I want to have with this person, to what extent is it necessary? What impact can this person do with it? Sometimes for ladies, it is the more they talk about it, the more they feel relief. That does not really work with the male gender. Right? So a man believes that if I talk to you about money problem, not advise me, give me money. And there's a lot of misconception that comes with that. That some male figure feels that the only time in fact, their 99.999% problem is money. And I can tell you, money is only a tool in the hands of anybody. So it does not. So there are people in the society who are trained to handle this. For example, even if they have not assumed to their full capacity, I can tell you one of those persons are your parents. All right? They are your parents. They don't know enough, yes, but there's a certain level of provision that God has endowed them with. A wisdom that is not shared, that might not be digitally transformed, but that has relevance in this time and space.
Yeah.
Right? Then also too, there are professionals who eventually will not just listen to you, but will walk you through a journey in understanding that this thing we call peace, right, has definition for different people. For Jesus Christ, his peace was in chaos. So when some guy says, I need peace, are you referring to loud music?
No.
So all of those things, being vocal in this 21st century for a male figure, it is understanding who you're talking with, who you want to talk to, and who is providing you the listening ear, so that you don't just communicate, because at the end of the day, we will all judge you.
Yeah.
Even they said emotional support these days, don't tire. There's a level to which you will talk to an expert. He will tell you, yourself, you not get sense. Why you go? They do this thing to this particular game. Yeah. So there are people who are trained.
Yeah.
Because wholeness beyond being physically fit, still there's a huge responsibility on our mental well-being. Not on the female aspect, but both the male aspect as well. There are a lot, and I can tell you categorically, I'm not joking about this. There are a lot of men, there are a lot of broken people on suit. What I mean broken? Mentally broken people, distorted people, whose minds are as squeezed as rag, but they are well suited up. But they themselves are not aware of it. Just like somebody being stupid.
Why is that?
Nobody checks the countenance of people. It's until you engage a real conversation before you can know that there is a fragment in this person's thought line that is broken. And until people live with that, and because it is a society where there is no specific areas or who to talk to, like your religious home. In those days, we used to eat, those Catholics, there's Priest, you can go to priest, talk to the priest, go to confession sections, and all of these other things. But these days, people talk to ChatGPT. I was telling somebody the other day, if anybody hack ChatGPT to understand what people are asking, trust me,
It's gone.
is a whole lot. So this conversation has to go into professional mode so that we can rightly get help to the problem of not speaking up. Because if you tell people to start speaking up today, it will happen.
Yeah.
See what is trending today, right? This one is opening university. This one is opening university, and the both of them are correct. But guess what? Who is at fault? Wait for the next generation. Wait for these two people to meet and give birth.
Gosh. Now, I know if you ask every 99.9% of men what their problem is, they'll say one thing, which is money. Now, you said something. There are some men in suits that are broken.
Yeah.
Literally broken. But yet they have money.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. How or what is the secret behind that, or what is the problem behind that? They have the money. So the money, like 99.9% of men, we say, is the money. Now, these people have the money, but yet they're still broken.
Yeah.
As men.
So one thing I love about what you're doing is having community. Right? Community is one aspect that has been missing in the value chain from our parents' generation to where we are. In those days, yes, for men is even worse. In those days, when you fuck up, they go carry you go family meeting, right? The family go call you, arrange you, say, come, we don't behave like this in our family.
Yeah.
You'll go back to the society. Yeah, but these days it has progressed into community where people now hold people from their strength instead of their weakness. So one thing that has really moved us to where we are today when it comes to this level of vulnerability, it is where you know that money, some people are so wealthy and all they have is just money. Do you get? You're so wealthy and the only thing you have is money. So there's a missing link between understanding that there is a gap that has not been questioned, your thought process and your lifestyle that is unguarded, right? Because yes, the society has made it public for you to feel that once you have money, you have everything.
Yeah.
But you realize that when you have money, you only become a tool. Everybody started trying to access that tool. Eventually, you get used. But when you understand that this is the tool, you yourself, you understand that this money you have is a tool, you leave that and you focus on what truly matters. And what truly matters is living and not just existing. Understanding that once you come into a community of people who begin to genuinely care for you, because once they get to that ladder, they ignore this community. They push themselves aside and clad themselves with sycophants who sings their praise. Oh, sir, wonderful. What if they make this? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
They are not in that community again who hold them from their strength and understand that they have weakness. So nobody can score. They don't have somebody who can speak to their listening ears. That's why the Bible says, once have I spoken, twice have I heard. So there is a hearing that is missing in their life that nobody is speaking to. That's why I said, away from the fact that we have progressed,